My mum's so special because my granddad, who actually passed away in April or May this year,
Sorry.
he's a Holocaust survivor. So he was in the concentration camps and everything. So my mum's actually got, and my family's got really special heritage. So I think that will be down to helping people as well because we speak about it a lot.
In your family, how did that knowledge get passed down, and how old were you when you kind of came to appreciate or understand and appreciate what
Yeah.
that meant?
Uh, it's always been part of my life from what I remember. So I was speaking to my best mate who I live with about this, and he said you were actually exposed to the Holocaust so young when you're Jewish. And I remember when I was a kid, my granddad used to come in my room and tell me all the stories about the war and everything. I think he just wanted to educate, but I think we worked out he spoke to over like 10,000 children in his life. If you accumulate it, he used to go around to the schools all around the country, and he was the first survivor in the UK to come out and start telling his story. So it's always been a big part of our life. Like, it's one of the first things that I tell people because I'm so proud of him. Like, there's never any embarrassment. And
There shouldn't be any
no,
embarrassment.
I know,
No,
but
yeah,
some
no.
people don't know the grandparents' stories because the grandparents were reserved. My granddad made it his mission to go around every school as to as many as he can, educate as many children. So we've been to Poland to see where he grown up and everything. So I think my mum having that, she probably feels special. Like she'll never say it because she's amazing and not up her own arse or anything. She never like feel special, but to have that as your granddad is amazing, and she's made it a mission to carry on his legacy after he's died. So she's taken over his business. So he did well after the war.
Yeah.
We're getting a book made about him. So she's taken all the responsibility on herself. And so with the kids, me and my two sisters, like we're all here for it. Anything we can do to spread the word of my granddad. Like that's the reason I'm doing what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
Because eventually I want to be in a position where I can make
Yeah.
shows about my granddad,
Yeah.
and you can have this weird boy with multicolored hair and shiny teeth, and people were like, "No way, is this kid trying to educate us on the Holocaust and the lessons?" And that is the main drive of what I want to do. It's all for my granddad because I feel like I've got to do something special for him, and so does my mum. She feels that way.
And also for like humanity as well.
Yeah.
Not to put too fine a point on it, but it's there's a question here. It's important because pretty soon, unfortunately, people who survived the Holocaust will all be dead, and having that living memory has been so important, I think, for fighting basically fascists and Nazis
Mm,
like the world over. But we won't have that. And so it was really interesting to hear you talk about like, well,
mm.
my life's mission is to kind of create a platform so I can tell this
Yeah,
story.
yeah.
The question is, do you think that's how we can make sure that people don't forget?
Yes, definitely. Like it's down to the families and the people that really care. So my granddad recovered in Lake Windermere after the war. There's a guy there. He's called Trevor Avery. I'll also any chance to shout out about him, I will. He set up the Holocaust Museum in Windermere for all the boys that recovered after the war there, and he's not even Jewish or got any Jewish relatives or anyone that was affected by the Holocaust, but he found the story so touching. It's his life mission to make sure everyone knows and is educated. And then it's for the family members, I think, to carry it on. So it's so important the lessons. Like there's actually been there's been so many tragedies in the world that's still going on. It's wild, and I think if you've got a direct or indirect representative of each of the tragedies, there's different things that you can take from each one to make you a better person and more appreciative.
Yeah.
So he was a success story in the end. So yeah, so it was
The fact that he survived.
yeah, the fact that he survived, but then he did well. So I think, but like the main lesson I take is that if anything's pretty difficult, I just think about what he survived, and like it's so weird to imagine being in this area where you're fenced off with barbed wire and there's armed guards around, and I know, and you're in striped pajamas and you're hardly getting fed and you're starving and you're watching people die every day. I don't know how my granddad didn't have bad mental health really. They may might have he might have,
Might have hidden
but
it.
yeah, might have hidden it maybe, but it never affected his life outwardly. Like his great. I'll tell you the best story now. This is what the best thing that you can learn. So he was on a death march. So a death march is when the Nazis were being pushed back as Russians were advancing on the Eastern Front. So as they were getting pushed back away from the Eastern Front, and the Russians were trying to catch up to them, they marched people, Jews and other people in the concentration camps away from them to keep them so they could burn evidence, to keep like a workforce and all of that. So only 10% of people survived, and he found one garden pea during a death march on a derelict farm, and he cooked it on a fire, and so he boiled it in water, and he split one garden pea into 4 pieces so it would last longer. And if I'm ever thinking about, oh, I wish this had gone better, wish that had gone better, I think that is just perfect perspective. You know what I mean? So the fact that he had one pea and he split into 4 so it lasts longer, that is so hard to fathom, and I don't think I ever will. I hope. And I think that story just encapsulates what a Holocaust survivor is and the lesson you can take from it. Yeah. So it's just about being grateful.
I'm sort of blown over by that story.
Yeah.
I feel a bit choked up actually.
No, don't
It's such
worry.
an inspirational story.
Yeah, exactly.
What wonderful human. I would
I
have loved to
know.
have met
I
him.
know. Look, he lived to look. He was successful. He lived to 96. Had a sexy wife. Yeah, it's
Amazing.
Yeah, traveled the world.
Yeah.
Had 3 grandkids. Were always around him. It's pretty crazy because you've got this figure in your life that is he's so well respected in the Jewish community, and my mum's friends are mainly part of the Jewish community. So I think growing up having that as your granddad as your dad is really special. So I think she only absorbed the best parts, and she's like the most amazing lady, and she I think that has probably contributed to a caring nature and wanting to help people and making sure that all the kids are doing good. Because I think my mum, more than anyone, will have the best perspective on what's important and what's not. She's been so amazing, so she's never seen it as like a burden or something that overshadows her. She just wants all the family to be together. She looked after him till the day he died. She's taken over all his business stuff, and she's smashing it.
Just out of interest, what is his business?
So it was called Japinda. So Jack, Pinky, and David. So 3 Holocaust survivors. They started a luggage business, and they manufactured suitcases and baggage, and it did well. Yeah,
Oh, that's amazing.
yeah, exactly. So my mum, from when my granddad got dementia when he was sick, she took over everything. Nana, bless her, is useless with that stuff, but you can't have it all. You can't have
Not 300 bags and a business.
exactly. Like Nana, is like angelic. In terms of her having him as a dad, I think she is so grateful for him, what he did, and that he survived, and what he built for her. So she knows that she could only let him have the best end, and he did. He died in his sleep, happy, 96.